This video is sponsored by Alcid E-Homes, whose mission it is to accelerate the advent of sustainable, healthy living systems around the world. Hi, welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 85. The legacy automakers are struggling in China, and the Tesla Model Y is dominating in Norway, and the plug-in hybrids meet some more headwinds. And Redwood Materials has some big plans for the recycling of batteries. And Rivian's first customer vehicle rolled off the production line. And SpaceX made history with its all-civilian mission to space. All this and much more to come on today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
The growth in China for Tesla is crazy, but so is the new energy vehicle in total. Tesla China has reached an annual production run rate of over 500,000 units. That is more cars than Tesla delivered last year in 2020. So their factory in China in only 1.5 years has become as big as their entire company was just 1 year ago. This is nuts. This is Tesla speed. And if we look at August year over year, well, new energy vehicles rose 182%. Tesla was up 375%, Xpeng 172%, Neo 125%. But passenger car sales were actually down 14.7%, so you know what that means. Legacy automakers were down. And the FAW Volkswagen, for example, was down 39% in August. Ouch! And Xpeng did just launch their P5, and that car will start at $25,000 in China after incentive, but still, this smart car for just $25,000, that is cool. Because unlike the ID.4, this car is actually a computer on wheels with great software and semi-autonomous driving features and so on, and the car can even be turned into a bed and have this large screen to watch some entertainment on. Very cool. And the range of the car should be from about 280 to 370 miles depending on the version, probably in EDC range, so take those numbers with a grain of salt, but still you can in China get a $25,000 EV, real EV, not a little shoebox, with smart software and features, decent range and performance. This is definitely a great deal, and the $25,000 EV is practically already here. It will be exciting to see how many of this car Xpeng will be able to produce. It looks like they will end the year with somewhere around 100,000 cars delivered, so still have a long way to go when it comes to ramping up production. But this is not looking so good for the ID.4 with its lack of good software, smart features and good performance. And FAW Volkswagen's business was down 39% in August. Damn. I have a hard time seeing how they can turn this ship around in China. It's not looking good. What is looking good is Tesla's sales in Norway. It's looking more than good. It's looking nuts. So the Model Y is just continuing its flight to the moon and doesn't seem to slow down. In September so far it is about 5 times bigger than any of its competitors and has already become a top 5 year to date in Norway, and it started deliveries less than a month ago. This is nuts. But Lars, why are we always looking at Norway? Well, just as Gordon Johnson has been saying, Norway is almost a fully BEV market, so if you want to see what the future will look like, well, look at Norway. He has of course also been saying that Norway doesn't matter, but when it comes to Gordon, it depends on whether it's the first month of the quarter or the last month of the quarter. The first months it looks like Tesla is getting destroyed in Norway and Norway shows the way, and in the last month when Tesla is back on top, Norway doesn't matter. But I do agree with Gordon on the comment that Norway does show us the future, because they already have over 70% EV market share. So to learn a little bit about how the rest of Europe will probably look like, Norway is a good place to look. And I did make a whole video about what is going on in Europe, because I actually thought the competition would do better. And haters are of course saying that it is just pinned up demand and that will go away. Sure, but why is something like the Audi's Q4 e-tron that is cheaper than the Model Y, even cheaper than the Model 3, and has a decent range and spec and is an Audi, but it hasn't even sold half the amount in the last 4.5 months than the Model Y has done in less than a month? No one else has ever seen a pinned up demand like this. Even Volkswagen's ID.4 that came out in February and sold a little over 800 in Q1, but then it had a whole quarter in Q2 with its pinned up demand, and it sold 3,470 units in the whole quarter. But the Tesla Model Y has already in Q3, in less than a month, delivered 3,659 units. And we still have 14 days to go from these numbers. And again, the Audi Q4 has sold 1,184 in Norway in total. I am quite stunned that they are not selling more. This is after all the so-called competition Mr. BS was talking about in 2015, and Tesla is still killing it. Even if we take all of Audi's e-tron, the original e-tron, the Q4 e-tron, the e-tron GT, the e-tron Sportsback, all of Audi's e-tron combined year to date in all of Europe has only sold a little over 21,000 units, while the Model 3 alone has sold over 55,000 units, and the Q4 e-tron starting price is lower than the Tesla Model 3. So this is what I don't understand. I thought the Audi fans would be all over the Q4, but so far there is still the Tesla models that are just outperforming everything else. Tesla is not the biggest group in Europe. That is the Volkswagen group, and the Stellantis group is second, and then Tesla is third, only beaten by the two big auto groups that all have factories in Europe, which Tesla does not. But they will soon, and that factory will be spitting out what is Norway's most popular EV in Q3, the Tesla Model Y. This is going to be huge. And the plug-in hybrids hit some more headwinds. The plug-in hybrids are for now still looked at as a low-carbon alternative to traditional ICE vehicles. But analysts from pressure groups Transport and Environment and Greenpeace suggest they emit an average of 120 grams of CO2 per kilometer. That compares with the 44 grams per kilometer in the official lab test. The pressure groups have analyzed the fueling efficiency collected from some 20,000 plug-in hybrids driving around Europe, and what they also found was that many did not charge the battery, just used it as an ICE car. But again, it's also a very small ICE engine that has to carry around a big battery and electric motor and so on. The efficiency of the hybrid ICE engine is just not good. So glad to see more and more analysts shining some light on this stupid hybrid car. This is not a low carbon alternative, and you will still have all the maintenance of an ICE car, so you don't even get the benefits of owning a real electric car. Let's just drop these stupid cars. And the new proposal for the EV tax incentive in the US is getting weird. Now they want to use the US taxpayers' dollars to incentivize an EV made in Mexico, as long as they're unionized. This proposal is definitely only made to suck up to Ford and unions and try to leave Tesla out of it, because their workers have chosen not to have a union. But Tesla still has better salaries for its employees than people at Ford, and Tesla's Model 3 is still the most American-made car on the planet. But Ford would get a 4,500 extra tax credit because they are in a union, even though their EVs are made in Mexico. all paid by the US taxpayers. But this is of course just a proposal, but we are getting closer to them deciding something. But no matter what, Tesla will still get $7,500 tax credit, and it will last for 10 years. This will still make Tesla's demand explode. They already have a crazy demand without any incentive, so for them to get $7,500 off will be a big deal. Also because in this proposal they will raise the price of the EVs that will get this, so that means that the Model 3 and the Model Y and even the Cybertruck will get a $7,500 tax credit. Even the most expensive Cybertruck. But unfortunately, the Rivian won't get it, and the GM Hummer will not get it, and the high-performance ones of the F-150 Lightning will not get it either. So, like the Cybertruck did not have enough demand already, but if this does go through, you will be able to get a Cybertruck for $32,500. That is nuts. So even though they're trying to cut out Tesla and not giving them as big an incentive as the other US automakers, it doesn't matter. Tesla will not need any help to grow as fast as they do, but they can't completely cut Tesla out, so Tesla will get the $7,500 discount. So no matter what, Tesla's demand that they can't keep up with even today without any credits will just explode. And let's take a quick look over at Gigafactory 5 in Texas. And the progress at Gigafactory 5 in Texas is still speeding along. The midsection is already closed off in one end, and Joe Tachmeyer shared some pictures that Tesla is holding a little event to welcome new employees to the factory. Very cool. And also a photo from the factory reveals that Tesla may have started test production of the Model Y because the Model Y body was seen in the dump truck leaving the area. So cool to see some evidence of all the great progress that is going on inside the factory, even before they are done with the factory itself. So Tesla's beta version 10 has been out for a week, and we have seen a lot of great tests. And it is getting very, very good. There's been so many crazy drives with zero intervention. We have seen Rob Maurer from Tesla Daily making some cool drives with his full self-driving beta, and so did Guiley from Hyperchange. And that was even a crazy drive under the monorail. What that car can do right now is just nuts, getting so close to the real thing. And that is why Tesla calls it a full self-driving package, because that is what it eventually will be. They will just give you a discount if you buy it now, because when it becomes full self-driving, it will be crazy valuable. And that is why Tesla calls it full self-driving. They are trying to tell people what it will become, and that is why the other guys should probably stick with their names of autopilot and driver assist, because that is what it is and will always be. And Redwood Materials have some big plans for recycling of batteries and more. They plan to produce sustainable battery materials like anode copper foil and cathode active materials. They are aiming to produce 100 gigawatt-hours per year of cathode active materials and anode foil for 1 million electric vehicles by 2025. By 2030, they expect their production output to scale up to 500 gigawatt-hours per year of materials, which would enable enough batteries to power 5 million electric vehicles, or nearly half of the US annual vehicle production. This is a big deal. At today's prices, that is $25 billion of cathodes a year, and Redwood plans to build a similar operation in Europe by 2023. Yeah, they are not messing around, and this will have a huge implication. Instead of the US auto market having to ship materials from all over the world to get it into their batteries, Redwood will make sure that when the materials come to the US, it will stay there and just be recycled. And Redwood alone will recycle enough for half of the country's EV sales by 2030. This is just so cool and really shows the big advantage of EVs, where 95% of all the materials in the battery can be reused. And when we come to 2030, we will probably have something like close to 400 million EVs on the road. And all of those batteries driving around will at some point be recycled. This is a big stack of materials just driving around, not having to be mined. So cool. And SpaceX launched another 51 Starlink satellite to space. But these ones are kind of important, because these will be satellites with space lasers. The lasers enable the fleet to operate without the need of direct communication with a ground station, these data centers on Earth. Instead, the satellites will beam data to one another via the laser link, which enables a much faster data transfer rate to users on the ground, because light travels faster in the vacuum of space than through fiber optic cables. Data packs do not need to touch a regular internet. Data can flow from user terminal to satellites to user terminal. This is actually a very big thing. This means that SpaceX will not need regulatory approval, because they will not need ground station. But if you buy a Starlink dish, no matter where you are in the world, Starlink can just beam the internet directly to you. This will make Starlink take off even faster. So, we have just witnessed a historic moment that will go down in history as the day civilian space travel became a reality. The SpaceX mission Inspiration4 has just launched 4 civilians to space, and they are now flying around the world in their spacecraft and should land back down today. Inspiration4 is the world's first all-civilian mission to orbit. This mission is commanded by Jared Isaacman. The other 3 crew members are Haley, Chris, and Sian. No one of them are professional astronauts. They do not have a professional astronaut with them. They are all 4 just civilians that have gone to space all alone. Not like Jeff Bezos' $1 million joyride to the edge of space with an astronaut. This will not be a ride just for the hell of it. They will raise awareness and hope to fund $100 million to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Jared has already donated $100 million to St. Jude's from his own pocket, so they hope to get up to $200 million. So this mission Jared and SpaceX have made will help children with cancer, so that's just very nice, but will also be a milestone representing a new era in human spaceflight and exploration. This is huge. We always see movies with civilians traveling around in space, but it has always been science fiction. But the Inspiration4 is the first step to making this a reality. They are the first civilian space travelers that is going around the world for 3 days in space, all by themselves. Of course, helped by SpaceX and their incredible team, where they have been through a lot of training and so on, but they are not professional astronauts or superhumans. Haley is even one of the former children of St. Jude's Hospital. She had cancer, and she even has a prosthetic leg. So she is really showing the world that you don't need to be a superhuman athlete, as astronauts usually are, to go to space. You and I can go too. And yes, the mission is not gonna be cheap, and Jared is a billionaire that is paying for it all, but the amount he's paid is unspecified, but presumably something most of us cannot afford. But SpaceX will eventually charge $50 million per seat for future private missions. So a bit more than I usually spend on a summer holiday. But thanks to what SpaceX is doing with reusable rocket and the Starship, this will be something that many of us will be able to afford at some point. What an amazing time to be alive, and don't forget to see the Netflix series that is made about this mission. The last episode of the series will be out on the 30th of September. It is very good and so inspiring, which of course is the true mission after all, to inspire us to be excited about the future. And a little side note, does Tesla really need advertisement? I don't think so. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla shorts. And we had another car fire. No, wait a minute. Wait, no. Ah, this is just an ice car that burst into flames. Oh, sorry, guys. I thought this was newsworthy. No. This is not an EV. Ah, just an ice car that burst into flame. Well, that happens over 400 times a day every single day in the US alone. So, not news. But here is an EV that caught fire. And yes, it is of course the Chevy Bolt. But as Hallmark Catalog tweeted, at least it's union made. But still remember, per kilometer driven, a BEV still burns 22 times less frequently than an ICE car. So don't worry, buy an EV, maybe just not one from GM. And Porsche will also make their own battery factory. It is not going to be a Gigafactory, but a Mega Factory, because it will only be able to produce 100 megawatt hours per year. Yes, megawatt hours. So enough for about 1,000 cars, and they expect the factory to be ready in 2024. Wow, they're really running fast and thinking big. And I went down to the boys at Amtech again to get the automatic trunk made, and that works perfectly, and I'm glad I did, because the other spring load arms I had in the trunk was actually hurting my Tesla a little, because you kind of had to slam the trunk a bit to close it, and that took off some of the paint and made some small scratches, so cannot recommend those springs for your trunk. If you want an automatic trunk, spend the extra money, just get a real one that just works so much better. And Rivian's first customer vehicles drove off the production line in normal, so deliveries should start very soon. Nice. And Volkswagen's more expensive all-wheel drive version of the ID.4 gets an EPA range of 249 or 240 miles depending on the version, with its huge 82 kilowatt-hour battery. But at least it becomes a little bit more fun to drive, because its 0 to 60 time will be the fastest for any ID.4 with 5.7 seconds, so almost as fast as the slowest Model Y. And GM invest in radar software startup Okilo as demand of automated driver features rise. Yeah, they just don't get it. That's gonna be a bad investment. But they also invested in Nikola and Lordstown, so yeah. And the Tesla Model Y is a Moose Test champ. No surprise here, as all the other Teslas was also Moose Test champ. But here is a little comparison to Toyota's RAV4. Yeah, we know which car we want, right? Maybe this is why the Model Y is so popular in Norway, where they actually have some moose. And Herbert Diess did say, we don't want to pull out of Latin America, for example, where electric cars are not likely to be the solution to climate change. In Latin America, the natural way forward is to use biofuel, which are CO2 neutral. We have been over this before, biofuel is not CO2 neutral. But the more weird thing is that apparently Volkswagen thinks that the EV is the future for the rest of the world, but just not in South America. What? And Tammy Harrington does some crazy awesome camping in her Tesla. Nice. Cool picture. And the Chinese are starting to come with more and more EV models to Europe. NIO will start delivering of the ES8 SUV in Norway this month, but will start deliveries in the beginning of 2022 in Germany with the ET7. Going to be very exciting to see how well this car will sell in Germany. And LZE Home, the sponsor of this channel, is finally getting a little tailwind on their market value. The stock price rose about 25% this week alone. Maybe this is the start of the short squeeze that Nasdaq.com was talking about. And maybe this is because Tesla finally starting the installation of the solar panels and Powerwall at the LZE Home in Texas, so we do see a lot of great progress. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to give a quick shout out to my news members and patrons of this YouTube channel. Johnny Renfors, Ulf Anderson, Daniel, Peter Elvin, Wick Smith, Patricia Koa Harter, Martin Kemmerlin. And I thank you for watching, members, Ray Rosconi, R. Jared Alexander, and my Be Nice and You Are member, William Hall. Thank you all so much for your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. And I thought it would be kind of fun looking a little back on some of the short sellers.
But when looking at the facts and not looking at an aspirational story, demand for their cars is collapsing in Europe, the USA, and China, as well as, pretty much every other locale. And you're going to see that in 1Q.
Porsche's coming.
With their own car.
Porsche's coming with the Mission E. And
Jaguar with the
I-Pace. And so is Audi with the e-tron. The big boys are coming. And they're coming with sexy looking cars at the same price point with better features, faster cars, great styling. And so what was unique for Tesla is no longer unique.
Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, GM, Audi, and Porsche are all coming out with 300-mile electric luxury sedans. I think they're doomed. Tesla's batteries are lithium-ion, like everybody else's. They contain the same amount of energy per kilowatt hour as everybody else's. And I think in another year or two, we'll see a movie called Who Killed Tesla?
That is all we have time for in this news show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out this video a lot. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. And if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to donation options in the show notes. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only, so don't miss out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.